Okay, so section 2.8 should be relatively familiar to you. Hopefully you have graph systems of inequalities, linear and quadratic. We're going to be expanding that a bit today to some of the other types of graphs we've worked with, including the circle graph, which we haven't done a ton of, so you'll get a little bit of practice with that today. So when you are graphing an inequality, if you have the less than sign or the greater than sign, what type of line are you using?
Dotted.
Dashed or dotted? And if it's the less than or equal to or the greater than or equal to, you are using a solid line. And you can always test your solution by testing a point inside them both, so we'll do that for one of them. So, if we are looking at this first one, and this is a linear one, so hopefully fairly familiar to you. I have, and I'm going to use my colors on this, y is less than or equal to 2x minus 4. So I start at negative 4, go up to and over 1. Is that going to be a solid or a dashed line? That's going to be a solid line. I don't know where my ruler went, so. All right, am I going to be shading above or below that line? Below. I'm shading below the line. So I'm going to be shading down here because it says y is less than, so that means I'm below that line. I'm shading everything below. On the other one, y is greater than negative 1/3 x plus 3. So I'm going to start at 3. Where do I go from there?
Go down 1.
Down 1 over 3 and always go to the right. Is that going to be a solid or a dashed line?
Dash.
Dashed line. And am I shading above or below? Above, because y is greater than negative 1/3 x plus 3. Huh? You don't have to use two different colors if you don't want to. I just find it easier to see the double shaded region. So, my solution region is this area right here. So when it says you can check your solution by testing a point inside the region for both, somebody pick a point that is somewhere in this double shaded region. 7, 4. So if I go to 7, 4 right there, I'm going to test that point. So I'm going to put x and y into both of those inequalities, and you don't have to do this, I'm just showing you how to. So 4 for y is less than or equal to 2 times 7 minus 4. So 4 is less than or equal to 14 minus 4. So 4 is less than or equal to 10. Is that true? Yes, that's true. So it at least works with the first one. Then we have to check it in the second one as well. 4 is greater than negative 1/3 times 7 plus 4. 4 is greater than, so negative 7 times 1/3 is 1 2/3? No, 2 1/3. Yeah. Yes, please. Thank you. So, negative 7/3 is the same as negative 2 1/3, just for concept, or for context. So this is 2, I need to write it down. 2 1/3 plus 3, so 4 is greater than 2/3. And that is true. A point that might be easier to check would be an x of, say, 9, because that would be divisible by the 3, and that would be a little easier to check, but not a big deal. So, that's how you test a point. Pick a point in the double shaded region, put it into both inequalities, and check and make sure that it works. that point is helpful, or that part is helpful, but not necessary unless, of course, it asks for it. Questions on that first one? So, on the next one, moving along, the top one is the absolute value of x minus 3, so what's my locator point there? Positive 3, 0. And shaded or dotted? Or sorry, solid or dashed? Solid line. Shading above or below? Below, because it's y is less than or equal to. So I'm shading below. And then I have a parabola with a locator point of what? 3, negative 2. And it's facing upward. Solid or dashed line? Dashed line. Oops, got a little off there. And am I shading above or below? Other way to think about it is inside or outside? Inside, so above. Because y is greater than. So my solution region down here, I'm going to shade it a little bit more heavily with that blue. This little part right there. Questions on that one? Okay, quick review on graphing a circle. So if I have x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, 4, why did I write 4? Equals r squared. HK is the center of my circle, and R is the radius. Wow, I cannot write today. Okay, so if I look at this particular part, x minus 4 squared plus y squared, what is the center of that circle? 4, 0. What is the radius of that circle? 2, because r squared would equal 4, so 2 squared equals 4. So I'm going to go 2 in each of the 4 straight directions, and then I'm going to make my circle from there. Is it going to be a dashed line or a solid line? Dashed line. So with circles, I'm going to be shading inside or I'm going to be shading outside. Easiest way to test which one is happening is by putting the center, so a point inside, into my equation and seeing if that works. So the reason that's an easy thing to do is if I have 4, 0, and I put in 4 minus 4 squared plus 0 squared is greater than 4, I'm going to get 0 on this side every time. Is 0 greater than 4? No. So am I shading inside or outside of the circle? Outside, because the point inside of it did not work. Was not true. So if that point worked, then I would shade inside, but because it doesn't, I'm going to shade everything around the outside of the circle. With the circle graph, yes. When I plug in the center of the circle, it's going to end up being 0. All right. So what about, guys, what about y is less than or equal to 1? What is that going to look like?
A line.
What type of line?
A horizontal.
A horizontal line at 1. And it's going to be solid, thankfully. I wasn't paying attention to that. And am I shading above or below? Below, because that's everywhere that y is less than 1. So my double shaded region is everything below that line and outside of the circle. Bless you. Bless you. So if I were to attach any point outside of that down here, it should work. Questions on that? Okay. What's the center of my circle on the next one? -2, 3. So -2 up 3. What's the radius?
3.
I'm going to go in each direction. Go up 3, right 3, left and down. Solid or dashed? Dashed. So if I plug in my center, what am I going to get on this side?
0.
0. Is 0 less than 9?
Yes.
Yes. So I'm going to shade inside the circle. On the line, y is greater than -2x minus 3. Where do I start that graph? 0, -3. And where do I go from there? Down 2 over 1. Dashed or solid line? Shading below or above? Above. So my double shaded region is this part above the line, also in that circle. And that's it. With the systems of linear inequalities, there is no need to write an x is greater than or anything like that because you're looking at infinite solutions within that double shaded region. So, any questions on that? Alrighty. So you got some practice to do after this.